do and don't do, we can change it, right? So, and this cooking class and the next speaker will emphasize how a proper diet, see, what we eat, can change the cause if we have diabetes. There is a lot of scientific results, studies showing that people with diabetes can reverse in a matter of weeks, even months, completely heal. Those who have type 1 have been born with the defect of not producing insulin or very low, even then can get controlled and not being totally dependent on insulin or reduce the levels of insulin. So why are we emphasizing the diet? Because it's so important what we eat. In fact, it could be our medicine. Not the medicine that is given in the pharmacy, but what we eat daily. It can heal our body, it can restore, it can strengthen. What kind of diet is the best? We believe the diet that God gave us from the very beginning. What was the diet from Genesis? Fruits, nuts, vegetables, wholesome, not processed. See? Wholesome means it's non-processed, non-refined, and homemade, better if you can do in your hands, and that's why we are going to demonstrate today some of the dishes. And we prefer organic because most of our non-organic are contaminated with pesticides, etc., and non-GMO because that is associated with some diseases as well. So we are going to present dishes and very special herbal juices that will control, even reverse diabetes. And I just want to leave you with this message that is in Deuteronomy 30, verses 19 to 20. It says, I have set before you life and death, blessings and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both you and your descendants might live, that you may love the Lord your God, that you may obey his voice, that you may cling to him, for he is your life and the length of your days. The Lord gave us from the very beginning the right diet and the right kind of exercises. It was gardening in Eden. So we live here in the countryside. We can do gardening because doing exercises also control and reduces glucose levels and can help in reversing diabetes. So may God help us to choose life. And so our descendants also could be healthy and by his grace continue in the eternity with him. Thank you.
Good afternoon again, everyone. I just want to welcome our new participants. So for our next presenter is also somebody that I've come to know very dearly, and she's also just as sweet as our first presenter. Sister Myrtle Joy Petit pursued her passion in health and wellness as inspired by her mom, who used to work at a wellness center with their varied patients and with skin issues to cancer. Myrtle finished her master's in public health with a concentration in nutrition at Liberty University, Lynchburg, Virginia. Furthermore, her drive to combine theory and practice led her to Living Light Culinary Institute, Fort Bragg, California, to be certified raw food chef and instructor. Really good. She also holds a master's food preserver certificate from Cornell University. Her continued pursuit in the dynamic field of nutrition made her finish post-grad studies in clinical nutrition. In 2016, she passed her exam and became a certified clinical nutritionist. Praise God. She launched kitchen gardens to help people improve their health through functional foods. Currently, she's taking up a doctorate of health science program with a dual concentration in clinical nutrition and education at University of Bridgeport in Connecticut. She's also a mother and a wife. Please welcome Sister Joy.
Thank you so much, Sister Stashana. Today we'll be talking about diabetes and functional nutrition. So a lot of the issues starts from the dysregulation of the blood glucose. And whether a person goes for hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia, the brain is affected as well as many other glands in our body. So it's important to make the blood sugar regulated. And it's very important to emphasize that our health depends on the on following or obedience to the principles of health. So it can be spelled as health patterns. P stands for pure water, A for air, T for temperance, T for trust in divine power, E for exercise, R for rest, N for nutrition, and S for sunshine. One of my favorite authors once said, "We cannot be too often reminded that health does not depend on chance. It is a result of obedience to law." It is a result of what? Obedience to law. And that is the laws of health. So let's consider this question. Why a plant-based diet is best for diabetes? Number one, it's a diet that is sustainable. And today we have a lot of fad diets that come and go. And we aren't sure what is the right diet for us. So plant-based diet is something that you can use for a long term. There are diets that you can only use for short term. But this plant-based diet is sustainable. Number two, it has more nutrient density. When properly planned and properly executed, this diet has more nutrient density compared to others. It is also much healthier, and it helps the person have a balanced weight. And today, we have this issue of obesity and overweight in our country and many other countries as well. It is also rich in fiber, both soluble and insoluble. So let us learn about that. Soluble plus insoluble fibers are food for the good bacteria. And we've learned we are actually learning more about probiotics and its benefit to our health. So fibers are considered prebiotics. Prebiotics meaning it feeds the probiotics. And the probiotics that we know the most common are the bifidobacteria and lactobacillus. So the good bacteria feeds on insoluble or also termed or also known as fermentable fibers, which gets converted to short-chain fatty acids. So when they feed on these fibers, it gets converted to short-chain fatty acids. And these short-chain fatty acids have a lot of benefits to us. So it improves enzymatic activity in liver and muscle. And we know that liver is affected and the pancreas when we have diabetes. So it improves blood sugar regulation. Did we take note of that? Short-chain fatty acids that were released by the probiotics because they fed on the prebiotics, which are fibers, they help improve blood sugar regulation. Short-chain fatty acids also were found to improve insulin sensitivity, a great benefit for those who are pre-diabetic and also for those who are diabetic. Short-chain fatty acids bind to ghrelin. So ghrelin is a hunger hormone or the hunger hormone. So it actually acts like an alpha glucosidase inhibitor. So this drug is known as an anti-diabetic drug. Three things actually that we have to learn about ghrelin. It is affected by the times or the time that we eat. So it's important to be regular with our time of eating and also to make sure that we have enough rest periods between meal and not to shorten it. But we'll find a way how to control hypoglycemia later on. So it's important for the times that you eat should be regular. The second one is having the right kind of food. So there are food that just release so much sugar right away. So there are other ones like complex carbohydrates that lengthens it and you won't need a lot of food. So it would just prolong the time that you would need food to sustain your body's need. So the third one is when you are eating at night. So it's important to get enough sleep and not to eat at night. So people who eat at night and do not get enough sleep are more likely to have their ghrelin upregulated. So it means that their ghrelin hormone upregulates. So for them to sustain their body at night, because they do not sleep at night, is for them to eat something. So they're snacking, they're having midnight snack. So the more you do that, the more the ghrelin or the hunger hormone gets released, and so the dysregulation continues and it becomes a cycle. And that cycle has to be what? Broken. Correct. Are you hangry? Hangry is an actual word. Hangry is a clever portmanteau of hungry and angry, and an adjective that describes being irritable due to what? Hunger. So have you experienced being hangry? Plenty of times. So what should we do to prevent this? Eat more fiber, and you will have more or higher satiety index, or also known as fullness factor. So since we talked about short-chain fatty acids, the prebiotics, which are found in fermentable fibers, you can see a list in there of the vegetable that contains fermentable fiber. There's also fruits. And for people who have diabetes, they can still eat fruits. And the fruits that they can eat are the berries because they have lower glycemic index. There are also nuts and seeds. They are also rich in fermentable fibers. How about grains and pseudograins? What are the pseudograins? What are the pseudograins? We have amaranth, we have buckwheat, and also we have quinoa. Those are pseudograins. These are also good for those who have celiac and gluten sensitivity. So legumes, beans, peas, so there's a ton of them that you can actually use as part of your diet, and they're also rich in fermentable fiber. So there are herbal supplements for diabetes, and I've only choose 5 of them, but these 5 are the most potent. Again, these 5 are the most potent. Are you ready? Number 1, bitter melon. This is a traditional folk remedy in Asia for diabetes and obesity. In a study of Zhao and his colleagues in 2019, it's published in the scientific journal Metabolomics, and it showed great improvement in the management of diabetes and as well as showing better improvement in their metabolic profile. So take note, bitter melon is important for diabetes. Second, berberine. This is an important herb for metabolic syndrome, including diabetes. So in a study of Chang, Chen, and Hatch in 2014, they found that this is a novel hypoglycemic agent with positive effects on diabetic complications. And it showed there that not only they are using it as a single herb, but they are having like concoctions, and even for the new products coming out for hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia, and also for those who have diabetes, this is actually included as part of their herbal supplementation. So it's added to improve their formula for diabetes and hyperglycemia. Gymnema sylvestre. This actually contains gymnemic acid, and this is one of the active properties in this of this herb, and it has anti-diabetic and anti-obesity effect. That's the study of Pusurahu and his colleagues in 2013. This is a much lesser known herb for diabetes, but it is really effective. It's called Coccina indica, also known as IV gourd. So what they did with the rats, they induced the rats to have diabetes, and they used streptozotocin. So meaning to say they used a drug to induce diabetes for this experiment, meaning that there are drugs that can cause diabetes. Is that clear? There are drugs that can cause diabetes. So with the extracts found from Coccina indica, called ethanolic extracts, it showed that it has anti-hyperglycemic effect as well as anti-ureogenic effects. So what is the clinical manifestation in diabetes? We have polydipsia, you're always hungry, you always want to eat something. Polyuria, so you're constantly going to the bathroom. And polyphagia, no, I'm mixing it up. Polyphagia, polydipsia, and polyuria. So you're constantly wanting to eat, constantly wanting to drink, and then constantly wanting to urinate. So the Coccina indica is good for diabetes because it helps you go to the bathroom less. So it's actually improving your urinary status. So that is a very good effect of the Coccina indica, also known as IV gourd. The last one that we have in here is Artemisia herba alba. This is also known as white wormwood. So this is high in flavonoids called apigenin. And apigenin is rich in, naringin. Let's talk about naringin first. So naringin is actually rich in a lot of naranja or oranges. So the naringin is present in citrus fruits like orange. There's also the pomelo. They also have the grapefruit and also the lemon. So a lot of the citrus fruits contain the naringin. The second one is apigenin. And they found that this white wormwood or Artemisia herba alba is actually more efficient than the oral hypoglycemic agent called glibenclamide in the alloxan-induced diabetic rats. So again, they use what? They use this medicine, alloxan, to induce diabetes in these rats. So we've learned about the different herbs. So number one, what do we have? Bitter melon. Second, berberine. Third, Gymnema sylvestre. Number fourth is the Coccinea indica. Very good. And the Artemisia herba alba. So there are also great herbal formulas for diabetes. Dr. Christopher has his pancreas formula because pancreas is the most affected because the beta cells are either not forming well or most of them just die because of the over stimulation that they have to produce insulin. So this one is specifically for the pancreas. Pancreas formula, kidneys are also affected as what we known for the urogenic effect. Kidney formula, adrenal formula. Most of the time, they are often tired, so it's often affected, their adrenals are affected, so this is also great improving that. There's also the Swedish bitters, it's a combination of different herbs. Chinese bitters, there's also a combination of different herbs, so it's important to consider bitter herbs. And most often, in the diet that we have, bitters are forgotten. Before, older folks always have bitter herbs on their plate. But now we have put so much more sugar into our diet that we have forgotten, we have taken out bitter herbs from our diet. So this will definitely improve pancreas and as well as our liver. Dr. Schultz actually learned from Dr. Christopher, and he formulated his 5-day bowel detox, 5-day liver detox, 5-day kidney detox. So it's an overall body detox that one can go through. And there's also the female shot or the male shot. And for long term, this is for the adrenals, or also for hormonal imbalance, and you can also take for female formula and male formula. There's also the Glucose Supreme Herbal by Designs for Health, which is a combination of the herbs some of the herbs that I talked about before. So let's go to nutritional supplements for diabetes. I want to tell you that supplements are supplements. Can you repeat that for me? Okay. So they are not your food. Because some people will eat a lot of unhealthy food and get a ton of nutritional supplement. And that is so wrong. Okay? We have to start with a good, healthy diet to feed on what our body needs. And the supplement will supplement what our body needs. All right? Supplements for diabetes. So this should not be like taken all together, but this is just a good list of it. But some formulas actually have this in in their formulas, basically. So chromium is one of the nutrients that is lacking for diabetic patients. So it's important to supply chromium. Chromium, 200 micrograms per day. I'll just go to the list quickly. Magnesium, 500 milligrams per day. Vitamin C, 2 grams per day. Vitamin B complex. Vitamin B6, 50 milligrams per day. Vitamin B12, 1,000 to 2,000 micrograms per day. Vitamin E, 400 to 800 milligrams per day. Zinc, 30 to 50 milligrams per day. Inositol hexaniacinate, 500 to 1,000 milligrams 2 times a day. This is great for those who have hyperlipidemia. Vanadium, 100 to 300 milligrams per day. Alpha lipoic acid, 600 to 1,800 milligrams per day. And essential fatty acids. You can get that, which is very rich in omega-3, the flaxseed oil, 1 tablespoon a day. So if we are properly eating, we do not need supplements. But most of the time, we need supplements because we do not properly eat, and plus because of the changes in the production of food production. So it's mostly commercialized and it's not organic, so a lot of nutrients are not in it anymore. It looks the same from the outside, but not biochemically, especially when we talk about glyphosate and Roundup Ready, but I'm not going to that because that's a whole topic in itself. So there's a good formula which I found recently, a diabetic support formula, which actually consists most of the ones that I talked about, this nutrients, by Nuturna. Recipes. So I'll just go over to the ones that we'll be doing downstairs. So we have spirulina cocoa water. This is great for hypoglycemia. So you can drink this in between meals. But even without taking spirulina, you can just take coconut water. Parsley celery juice, which is not only great for those people who are pre-diabetic or diabetic, but also for those who have issues with high blood pressure. Bitter gourd juice, this is good for diabetes, and you'll find out later. And then turmeric moringa shake. So the first 3 we'll cover, and we'll juice it downstairs. Mix the first one and then juice the 2. And then, yes, we'll head downstairs in a little bit, but let me end it with this quote from Ministry of Healing. It says that nature's process of healing and upbuilding is gradual, and to the impatient, it seems slow. But in the end, it will be found that nature, untrammeled, does her work wisely and well. So choose life, choose health, and choose well. For after all is said and done, it's all about a matter of choice. Thank you so much, and have a pleasant afternoon.